Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. I'm going to start today by repotting my Virginia creeper ivy. These Virginia creepers were just growing in the backyard and I pulled them out of the ground and they had roots on them. So I thought, well, I'll plant them up and train them as a bonsai. So they're just growing in this plastic pot which is falling apart and they haven't been root pruned for several years now. So I want to get them into a better pot and prune the roots. Virginia creepers can be developed into nice bonsai. I think my intention at this point is to grow it more as an accent plant. So let's get it out of the pot and see what the root system looks like. I will start by loosening up the tree from the pot. Just kind of squish the sides a bit and see if I can pull it out, making sure to not to knock off any buds. So there it is. There looks like there's lots of roots in the soil and I don't see any active root tips. But the buds are swelling on the plant. You can see them starting to change color, so it's a good time to repot it. I'll begin combing out the roots. It will be interesting to see what kind of a root system these Virginia creepers develop. And I think there's two trees in here, but they could be joined. It could be one root base, and I'm not sure. I should check an old video. In fact, I'll do that. I'll see when it was last repotted. I'm pretty sure I have a playlist for this Virginia creeper. There's one of those crane fly larvae in there. I went in and checked. There is a playlist for this tree, but I don't show the initial potting of it. I potted up in May of 2020, so it's going into its fourth year now. In the video I just said I pulled it up from the backyard. It had some roots, so I stuck it in a pot. So I don't expect a beautiful radial root base off of here. And I think there's several cuttings planted in this pot. I think I just stuck them in. So we'll see, what we can make of this Virginia creeper vine. If we can make it an accent plant or maybe eventually develop it into a bonsai, I am not sure. But today we'll get it repotted into a better pot. And maybe, start giving it a bit of style. Or, at least get a direction for it in the future. A goal, I guess that's what I'm trying to say. A styling goal for the tree. Which is always important. It determines a lot of what work you do to the tree and when and how big you let it grow, keep it pruned. There's a lot of factors. So it's always important to have some kind of a vision for your tree, or to be always looking for a direction for the tree. If your tree doesn't have a goal, keep evaluating it and think, what could I do with it? How should I style it? Yeah, so just always be thinking about the future of your tree. Wow, this soil, I think this was a used soil. It looks like a combination of every bonsai soil they ever made. There's big chunks, little chunks, pine bark chunks. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was used soil when I stuck these cuttings in the pot. I'm thinking there might be a drainage screen down here, but I'm not sure. It could be just coarse soil on the bottom, and that was my drainage layer. So far I haven't seen a drainage screen. Yeah, look at the size of some of these pine bark chunks. Wow. I sure enjoy the repotting season. I like working on roots, trying to improve them. Sometimes You know, they've improved dramatically. Other times there's not a big change to the trees, but it's always exciting getting them, you know, a little better and better with each repotting. At least, you know, you try and get them better and better. So these cuttings may have been planted quite deeply, so I may be able to reduce the root base on them, trying to get, you know, some kind of a good looking root system on the tree or trees. There's a big ant crawling around here. Holy cow, look at the size of that ant. See that? That is one big ant. I'm going to put that outside. Okay, the ant has been put outside. Not sure why there was a big ant crawling around. There's definitely some wood. You know, I think these were cuttings and they come down quite deeply. So I think I'll take it to the washing station and try and remove all the rest of the soil so I can clearly see what is going on with the root system. And then we'll come back and do the root pruning. Here is a look at the root system of the tree. I've washed it. So I did notice, you can see, well, from here, this vine, there's a big thick root that comes down really deep. Now I have a lot of surface roots up here and I'm liking those. I think I could safely cut off this entire bottom of the root system. I think that's a good plan because I don't want it that deep in the pot. So I will come in and just cut right through here. So big cut coming up, here I go. Just like that. So I think, you know, these were cuttings and they were planted fairly deep. It's rooted up at the surface and they've kind of fused together. I mean, I don't see any wiggle to them. So I'm going to leave them like that. So I will continue to comb out the roots with what I have left here. I can probably take a few more off the bottom. Ones that are growing straight down, at least reduce them back. Kind of getting a flat root base on the bottom. I think that's pretty good. So now I can comb out these surface roots. Like that. And I'll begin the root pruning. Okay, let's have a look at the roots. So there's a root coming off here. It's not really radial, it's cranked over a bit. There's not much else in that direction, so I'll have to keep it. I'll just prune it back to here and maybe develop this root in future so it kind of snakes around a bit. Take that one side off of it. Just having a look here. That root's growing upwards. I'm going to get rid of that. There's another one here I can get rid of. Here. Take these back. Now I notice these roots are quite bumpy. I don't know if that's normal. I hope it is. I'm going to take this one off. It's just kind of not growing out of the root base. It's kind of growing on top here. This root's growing up too high here. That one can be shortened. There's one growing from underneath here that's... Here's my surface roots, and I have another layer underneath with this root, so I'm going to prune it off. Like that. Taking that part off. Yeah. So back to the surface roots here. There's one going a bad direction there. Take that out. This one's growing up too high. So is this one. This one also. This one. Again, you know, I want the roots to flow down into the soil. Here's one sticking straight up. Take that off. This one's going a strange direction. I'll prune the tip off of it. Kind of redirecting it. Take this part off. It's going a funny direction. Some vertical ones there. I think these ones aren't really going a nice radial direction. I better get rid of them. This one's kind of sticking up here. It's not the worst root in the world. I guess I better keep it. I'm going to reduce these ones back. They're getting a little thick. Maybe this one too. So I better go in and look. You can see like the bulges in the root system. I better go look on the internet and see if that's normal for Virginia creepers. If it's not, then it means the roots have root nematodes. I think I'm going to take this one off. It's just too high. This one's weird. And this one's too high. I'm going to remove it. Yeah, I'll check. I'll go in and check. Just to make sure there's not a problem with this root system. Because if there is, well, there's a root going in between these two here. Get rid of that. Yeah, so I'll do that now. I'll just check to see if that's normal, those bumps on the roots. I went inside and looked on the computer. I didn't find anything about nitrogen fixing nodules on the roots, so I'm a little concerned. I mean, it's not too bad. The plant stayed healthy, so maybe, you know, a change of soil will help it. So we'll see how it does. I also learned that the sap off these Virginia creepers can be an irritant to some people. They can get a slight rash, so I didn't know that. So I learned something by going inside. So I think it's time I'll rewash the root system and we'll pot up the tree. I'm spraying everything down with soap and water just in case there's a root nematode problem. I don't want them to be spreading here in the greenhouse. I'm washing all my tools with soap and water. Just to be on the safe side. I'm gonna wash the pot. I'm not using it, but... Okay, so I'll clean up and we'll get the tree planted. I think I'm even going to wash down the root system with soap and water. So I'll spray it. I know root nematodes live inside the roots, but I might as well do as much work as I can to prevent them in the future from becoming a problem. Okay, so that's really washed down with soap and water. So I'll let that sit for a little bit and then rinse it off and plant the tree. Virginia creepers get spectacular fall colors, kind of bright oranges and reds. So I was thinking, I have this pot, an Erin pot, that's got this beautiful orange color on it. And I was thinking that would be a good pot for the Virginia creeper. it would look fantastic in fall with the reds and the orange, I think. So I think it's a good size pot for the tree. It fits in there really nicely. So that's the pot I'll use to pot up the Virginia creeper. Here's a close-up look at the pot. Yeah, it's a pretty cool pot. And the stamp is right in here. You can see it says Erin. Yeah, so that's the pot I'll use. It's going to be an interesting combination. So I'll get a base layer of soil in the pot. Okay. So I'll put a base layer of soil in the pot, not too deep. It's, quite a small pot for this planting. And then I've got to pick the front of my planting. I kind of like this as the front. Yeah, maybe just the way it is there. So I'll get it into the soil here. Just kind of basically like that. Get those roots in there. Make sure they're arranged nicely. Seem to be pretty good. Here's a look at the tree in the pot. I don't like this one root sticking up here. I think I'm going to remove that one. I think it kind of spoils the look of the tree. So that one's coming off. Let me just snip that one off too. Okay, I think that looks good. Maybe just tilt it forward a bit. Yeah, I think that's fine. I'm going to fill it in with soil now. Making a mess. Okay, and I'll just make sure that's all worked into the root system. So it's quite a small pot, but I do, want to keep this tiny. I don't want to grow it into a huge vine with lots of vigor. I'll be happy just to keep it alive and in a small pot. Hopefully get smaller leaves and compact growth. And yeah, it might be an accent plant to go along with a larger bonsai, or it could be just on display by itself. I don't know. There's just a root sticking up here I gotta get rid of. There. Okay, I need to top it up with just a little more soil. I think that's good. I'll give the planting a water now, and then I'll come back and trim up the top of the trees or the vines. Okay, I'm going to prune up the vine now. So there's some dead leaf stalks here, or petioles. I'm just going to remove. There's one here. Get rid of that also. And then I want to prune the vine. I've got a nice strong bud up front here. And I could either remove this whole vine or just keep part of it. There's a bud back here. So I think I'll keep part of it. So I'll just prune it back to here. Like that. And then this one, I'm looking for buds. There's a bud here. And I don't see a whole lot else. So I think I'm just going to take it. Oh, there's one back here. I think I want to keep it quite short, so I'm going to take it back to here. Like that. There's a dead part here I'm going to prune away. that. And I think this part too is also dead. I think the rest is looking quite good. It's kind of strange, you know, this one comes down and has sort of like two legs here, but it just kind of adds to the interest of it. I mean, it's not a formal bonsai, it's just sort of something interesting. I'll rotate it around so you can see it from all angles. So here's the front, coming around to the right hand side, to the back, to the left hand side, and back to the front. My Virginia creeper is all planted, ready to grow for the summer. I think the pot and plant combination really works well. I think the orange actually tones with the color of the bark on the Virginia creeper. And once it gets that fall foliage, I think it'll really look cool. So I think I've taken something very ordinary looking today and made it look quite nice. So that is it for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.